Hello and welcome, my name is Talon. In this video we're looking at train signals in Factorio. Factorio is a game in which you build sprawling factories to produce research, ammunition to defend yourself from the local wildlife, and finally the components to build a rocket to get off planet and win. To do this, you'll need to transport resources and components from one part of the base to another. In the early game you can accomplish this with conveyor belts, but as your base expands, it's more efficient to build a train network and even more so to have multiple trains share the same tracks. However, without any form of traffic management, trains will eventually collide with one another, causing damage. To prevent this, you can use signals. Factorio has two types of signal, the rail signal and rail change signal. Let's take a look at the standard signal first. Here we have a simple circular track with two trains both stopping at each station. When I select a signal, you'll notice green squares appear on each side of the tracks. These mark the places where you can place the signal. If you hover over one of the squares, arrows will appear along the track. Trains travelling in the direction of the arrows are affected by the signal, while trains travelling in the opposite direction will ignore it. If you want to control trains travelling in both directions, you need to place signals on both sides. Let's place a signal in front of each station and set the trains to run automatically. After a while, the trains leave the station, but they will stop at the signals. This is because signals won't allow trains to pass while there's another occupying the tracks ahead. This setup has created a deadlock where neither train can proceed. So how do we solve this? Well, first we have to understand the track mechanics in Factorio. Each track belongs to a block. A signal marks the start of the block and prevents the train from entering unless the block is clear. As of version 0.16, you can now see the blocks by holding a signal, whereas in previous versions you had to use the debug console. Each colour represents a different block. Both of the blocks are occupied by one of the trains, and the signals are preventing the other from entering. To remove the deadlock, we need to create at least one additional block by placing another signal. Now the trains can move out of the way of each other. A circular network is one of the most simple setups, but eventually it becomes impractical to add new stations. A more efficient solution is to have a main line and branch off where necessary. For that, you'll need to build junctions. You can manage traffic through a junction using the same standard signals, however this causes problems. When the junction block is clear, trains are allowed to enter. However, if a train can't exit, then the junction becomes blocked and other trains can't use it. This is where chain signals come in. Chain signals also stop trains from entering a block, but unlike standard signals which operate independently, chain signals will copy the state of signals further along the track. When both of the signals are green, a chain signal will also be green. Similarly, when both signals are red, the chain signal will also be red. I'll move this train over here. If one of the exits is green, while another is red, then the chain signal is blue. This tells a train to stop unless its intended exit is clear. Go ahead and replace all of the entrances with chain signals and let these run. If I then block the exit, this train now stops before entering the junction, so it doesn't prevent this one from running. The rule to remember is to place a chain signal going into a junction and standard signals going out of a junction, and do the same in the opposite direction if you have trains travelling both ways. Here we have a track with a station bypass. Both trains stop at the north station, but the blue train stops at the west and the orange stops at the east. Let's go ahead and set these running. The blue train naturally avoids the path with the station. However, we want to hold it in the bypass to prevent it from colliding with the orange train stationed here. To do that, following the established rule, we need to place a chain signal at the start of a junction and standard signals at the exit of the junction. On the opposite side of the bypass, we need to do the exact same thing, except now we have 2 entrances and 1 exit. The last thing we need to do is place a signal here to prevent trains from colliding with any stations. Oops. Any stations at the north. Finally, the last bit of advice is in situations where you have 2 junctions close together. Here we have 2 junctions which follow the same principle before, with chain signals on the entrances and standard on the exits. However, if we block one of the exits, we end up with the same problem as before, where one of the trains can't exit and then blocks the entire junction. To solve this, we need to replace the setup in the middle with chain signals. The signals in the middle relay their status to the signals at the entrances, preventing the trains from entering unless their exit is clear. And that's train signals in Factorio. If you found this video helpful, please consider clicking the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. My name is Talon. Thanks for watching.